Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to get started with Entity Framework Core, because when I got started with it, actually this is Entity Framework Core using database first. When I got started with it, it was kind of unintuitive for me, so I thought I'd make a video showing kind of how to get started with it. Yeah, so first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have SQL Server Management Studio 2007, Studio 18. I think it's 2017, but this is update 18. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you have an updated version. You're going to open this first. Might take a minute. SSMS always opens up slow. Okay, and then I'm just using Windows authentication. I'm not going to get any crazy here, so if you want to hack me, go ahead. I'm going to connect this way. Just make sure that you note what your server name is. My, for example, is this. So first thing you're going to do is just create a new database. I'm going to call it dev. I'm going to call it dev. Actually, I'm just going to call it demo. It's a demo database. Horrible name, but whatever. Then I'm just going to go and pick my username for my Windows account. Make me an owner of that database. And then what I'm going to do is create this table that we're going to work with. It's called employee table. So I'm going to give you guys this script right here. It's going to be in the video description. So you're just going to run this create table SQL script. And what this is going to do is create this employee table. So all this is this real simple table. I can design here. It's just a stupid tabs. Just a table with the ID, first name, last name, the job title, salary, and whether they're active or not. Of course, none of these fields can be null. I'm not sure why I have the active field as nullable. Doesn't matter. Not important. The only thing that is important is that the ID is a primary key, and that if you look down here, identity specification is set to yes. So I don't know if you're not familiar with this. All this does is every time you add a new record into the employee table, it'll automatically give it a unique ID. And it starts at 1, the way I have it set up right now. So the first record will get inserted, John Doe, and he'll have an ID of 1. The second record will be John Smith, and he'll have an ID of 2. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, let's open up a Visual Studio. 2019 is what I'm using, so that's probably what you want to use, because you can run into all sorts of weird things. I'm just going to create a new project. This is going to be a console app and .NET Core. I'm just going to call it demo app. Great names. Okay. Got a database called demo and a project called demo app. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a little menu here. Try to make it simple. Let's see here. So what I like to do is I have everything displayed in a separate folder just for readability. So I'm going to create a new folder. We'll call this just utility, and then we'll create a new class. Just call it display, and make this public, or you can't get to it. Made that mistake a million times. So this is just going to display a menu where we can choose to perform these CRUD operations. So this will just create a new line. Anytime you just do console right line like this, it creates a new line. I'm sure you already know that if you're learning about core. So what I'm going to say is, please select an option, and I'm going to make it look nice. Another new line, and I'm going to say, okay, here's your options here. You can add employee, wow, can't type. Edit employee, wow, really can't type today. View employee. All right, almost done. Delete employee. All right, it's just gonna, display our basic menu here. So I'm gonna go back to our main program, and we're just going to say this is just going to create a menu option, or a displayed menu, that keeps displaying. And I'm going to say display dot menu. This will allow us to choose what we want to do, database operations, whether it's add, edit, whatever. And I'm going to do this one. So just make sure you add this using, which is that utility folder where this display class is located. So the user is going to select an option. We're going to grab the option the user selects. Just do that by read line. So grab whatever they put in line. And if they want to exit, we'll say if they press 0, it exits out of this while loop and it terminates program. Otherwise, we'll just do a switch on whatever they pressed. I know this is pretty simple stuff, but and if they press 1, something will happen here. If they press 2, 3, or 4, something will happen, blah, blah. So let's do that, and do that. So 2, 3, 4, so exciting. Okay, and then this is going to say, this is going to be the default case. So if they don't press any of the options, we're just going to give them an error. So we're going to go back to our display class because we want to keep everything separation of concerns. I think that's the term. Everything's separated. And let's see here. Here we're going to do a failure. So if something fails, if they type in the wrong option, it's just going to give a failure message. This will give us a new line. This will get us this awesome red color because we love colors. And we'll just say, we'll give an option to pass messages in here. So this is an optional parameter. So if nothing is passed in this method, then message will just be set to blank. If something is passed into this message, into this method, then message will be whatever is passed into this method. That probably doesn't make any sense at all, so you'll see when we get to it. I'm just going to say if that message is null or empty, if it's blank, then we're just going to give a default generic failure message, right? And otherwise, we're going to write that specific message, that error message that we got back. Oh, and then we want to reset the color back to whatever the ugly font color that is the default for console apps. So now we're going to go back in here. Just going to say right here, display the failure. Because this will mean they haven't pressed a 1, 2, 3, or 4. They've pressed a 7, or they've typed in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or some stupid thing like that. And we're just going to display a failure that what they're doing is wrong. And it's going to reload the menu again. Because it's going to break out of this switch case. So now let's get to the actual fun stuff here. So to work with Entity Framework Core, the first thing you're going to have to do is, and I have no idea why this is not already set to the latest build, you're going to go to your project up here, click here on Demo App Properties, make sure your target framework is set to .NET Core 3.0, okay? Then, after that, you're going to go to your Tools, your Nuget Package Manager, Manage Nuget Packages, and you're going to install these 3 right here packages. So the first one's going to be, oh damn it, darn it. My mom might watch this, darn it. Okay, so you're going to get this one first. And you want to make sure that you get 3.01. So here we go, searching. Microsoft servers must be in China or something. It's taking forever. I go like this. Nothing. Okay. Oh, well, that's why I'm in installed. They're not installed yet. Okay, so I'm going to go here, install this one first. And note that it already has the version selected for me. I'm just lucky. I'm not sure how it knows that. Maybe because I've done it before on this computer, but you're going to probably have to go here, click, and make sure that 3.01 is the version you're installing. Make sure you select the project, install it. There it goes. Yeah. Nobody cares. Don't care. Accept that stuff. It goes and it's installed. Okay. Now the next one you're going to install is you're just going to add a .SqlServer. .SqlServer. And you're going to press that one. Make sure it's 3.01. Install. Yeah, this is the boring part. Okay. And don't worry, I'll put all this in the video description so you guys have it and you can just copy and paste it. The last one is Tools. I'm going to go here, make sure it's 3.01, install. You're going to press OK. You're going to press all right. I accept. Okay. Now you got all your NuGet packages that you need to work with Entity Framework Core. Notice, remember, this is Entity Framework Core. This is not Entity Framework. There's a difference. So the app has to be core, and Entity Framework Core is what we're going to be using. So let's see. The first thing you're going to do is, now this is a database first example, so we created the table in the database first, right here. This employee table, and it's in the demo database. So what you're going to do is, and I'm going to provide this also in the video definition or description. You're going to copy this. You're going to go to Tools, Package Manager Console. I don't know why they did it this way. I like the old way, where I just added the entity model class. You're going to paste this crazy thing in here. Notice that your server is going to be whatever your server is. So it'll be this right here. And your database is going to be whatever database you're using. So your database is going to be, wow, I'm blanking out. Oh, your database is going to be your, for my example, it's going to be demo. It's a demo database I created. So I'm just going to go here to the database. I'm going to type in DEMO. I don't need a password because this is using Windows authentication. And then you have to append this Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore.SqlServer. Don't know why. And then this output directory is just saying, I want to put all of my Entity Framework Core stuff in a folder, and I want to name it this, whatever name you have here. You can name it, Poo Poo McGee. Of course, I'm not going to name it that. Mine's going to be called Database, because it's a folder with a bunch of database stuff. Okay? Now I'm just going to press Enter. There's no way it'll work right the first time. It's going. Oh my god, it worked right the first time. It's a miracle. Okay, so now what's going to happen is it's going to create this database folder, and it's going to bring in your table from your database, which is our employee table, right? And it's going to create this demo context class, which is what we're in right now. You'll see it has a bunch of, if you've never seen this before, it's going to look a little goofy to you. You don't have to worry about it, though it's not important at the moment. So they give this little warning telling you to not store your credentials, because typically you would never ever do this in like an enterprise application. This would be stored in an encrypted file on your Azure server or somewhere else that's not here in the application, because you don't really store credentials in application configs anymore. You typically store them on a different server on Azure or Azure Key Vault or something like that. For this example, it doesn't matter. So here's just the connection settings. It sits right here. And then this is just some more, stuff that Entity Framework Core generates. So you're never going to really be in this file. You don't really need to be in this file, not at this point. So I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to, oh yeah, here's your employee class that it creates for you. This is based off that table. So close this, and I'm going to minimize this. So the first thing I like to do is we're going to use, actually we're not going to use the repository pattern. It's just too much in this case. But first we're going to do is create a repositories folder, because we want to separate all of our repositories out, because we might have a employee repository, and we might have a customer table, something like that. So the customer table or repository or entity, whatever you want to call it. We might have multiple ones of those. So I like to create a folder. I call it repositories. And the first thing I'm going to put in here, we're going to make our employee repository. We want to separate all the logic between tables. We don't want to have queries that go to the employee table in the same class with queries that go to the customer table. Because it's just confusing. You don't want to have that. Everything has to be separated, independent of itself. So I'm going to call this employee repository. And this is going to be public and static. Okay. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to add, obviously, a record to database. So I'm going to do public static void add. And this is how you do EntityFrameworkCore. You're going to do a using left parentheses, and you're going to have, this is just a dummy variable, db context equals new, and what's going to go here is the name of your database. So, and they append the name of your database with the word context. So the name of my database right here is demo, and they append context to it. And then if you go here, there's my database. It's called demo. So it's going to be the name of your database. It's basically going to be this right here. Okay, so you're going to say demo context. You might not see it. So don't have resharper on here. Demo context. And then it's going to say, what are you talking about? And you go here and you say, well, this is what I'm talking about. All right. So this creates the connection to your SQL box. That's all this does. It goes here and it says, okay, I want to use a SQL server and this is the connection. It's Windows authentication. All right. So then you're going to use this using, this is just, I think, best practice, but it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. You don't have to use the using. Because the using, once you exit this bracket right here, it disposes the connection to the SQL box. So that's going to stop you from getting orphan connections and blah, blah, blah. Or I'm talking too much. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you want to add a record. So the connection's open. So the first thing you're going to say is, okay, I want to make a new employee. Note that you don't have to put employee here. Oh, wow, really? You don't have to put employee here. A lot of people, you know, there's just no point, because if you put var, it's 3 letters and it saves you time. And if you want to know what the object is and you're just not looking over here for some reason, or there's some weird interface or inheritance going on, just hover over it. It tells you this is an employee object. So then you're going to say, okay, well, this is an active employee, right? And I'm going to say, okay, this employee's name is going to be Sleepy Joe. That's what Trump calls Joe Biden. Okay, Sleepy Joe Biden. And the job title, we'll just say is Vice President. That's what he was one time, right? And we'll say that his salary, I don't think they even make that much. 200K. Sound good? Okay. Now, after you set your properties for your whatever entity that you're trying to add to your table, all you're going to do to commit, so whenever you add a record to a SQL table, it's called a transaction. So all you're going to do to commit that transaction is you're going to say, okay, what's the context? What's the database? Okay, this is the database, and I want to add this employee. And EntityFrameworkCore is smart enough to know that this object is a table in this database, and it knows where to add employee. So after that, all you're going to do is save changes, and that's it. You have your first Crud operation. And you didn't see just now, I just added these two parentheses right here, because it'll throw an error if you don't have those. So this is all there is to adding. Just pop in your using, set what you want to put, you're going to add it, you're going to save it. That's it. That's all there is. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add another method here, and this is going to be editing. Again, you're going to have to pop in your using, and then so here what you're going to have to do now. Before, Entity Framework was not like this. I actually just discovered this when I made this demo. They've changed all of the operations to async. It's also known as asynchronous. If you don't know what async is, you don't really need to know at this moment to understand basic CRUD operations, but you probably have to research a little bit of it, but you don't really need to worry about it right now. I'm just letting you know. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to, not do that. You're going to get the record, you're going to change it, you're going to save it. Very simple pseudocode, right? So I'm going to say var employee, and I want to use the demo database. So I'm going to say db context, because right here is my demo database variable. I'm going to say dot. Well, what table do I want to go to in that demo database? Well, the employee table pops right up right there for you. Any framework knows. Dot. I want to get a single record that is Sleepy Joe Biden. Okay. So I'm going to say employee dot single. Oh, okay. See, you may not be getting the operations popping up here. What you have to do is click here and use system.link. That's all of the operations you can do in so I forgot any framework uses link. So you're going to do employee dot single. Now it'll pop up. Oh, well, something strange is happening. I'm not seeing it force me to do a sync. That may be because I did not include system.link when I made this demo. Okay, so forget what I said. You don't have to use a sync. You don't have to know anything about it. Forget it. Sorry about that. So, all right, so I'm going to say single just means get me one single record, okay? And it'll tell you right here, it returns one element, one record, and if there's more records named Sleepy Joe or whatever parameters you provided, it'll give you an exception. So right here is where you're going to put your query filter, basically. I like to use P. Other people use all sorts of things, Q, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. P because it stands for parameters. So P, and then you put this little arrow. It's really goofy. And then you're going to do P. I want to find every employee, or I want to get the employee, one employee, that's first name equals Sleepy Joe, right? And just copy this and put it here to be safe. Okay, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to say, give me that first record. And so it's going to go out and get the first record it finds with the first name Sleepy Joe. All this is, for you SQL people out there, is select all from employee, from dbo.employee, where first name equals Sleepy Joe. That's all it is. Literally, that's all it is. So take that in for a second. Okay, it's great. You got it. Everything's good. And so once I get that record, I'm going to change. I'm going to say, you know what? He just is the president of the United States now. I just changed his title. No, you know what? He's now the CEO of Microsoft. CEO of Microsoft. And his salary has increased to $500,000. Wow. So much money. So I just changed 2 properties after I got that record, and well, all I gotta do now is save the changes. That's it. So we do a select, we do an update, we save it. So easy. Now we're gonna make another method called view, because we might want to view details of a record, or detailed view. You should know what to do with this part. Now, we're just going to get Sleepy Joe's details because we like this guy. So var employee we're going to say, I'm going to store this. Here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, we're going to make a temporary new employee here just to store his information. So this is actually, look, I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to put it up here because we're going to store details of him right here. So I'm going to set employee equal to I'm going to say, again, the exact same thing I said here. I'm going to say, get me the record with first name Sleepy Joe. So just take this, copy it, bring it down here, paste it. And then what we're going to do, now I'm not putting any like try catches or checking if it exists or any of that stuff because this is a very basic, trying to get the basic, simple stuff for now. And then what I'm going to do here is we're going to display the employee details. So we're going to go back in our display and we'll just create a method here that displays the employee information. So I'm going to show you some cool string interpolation, is that how you say it? Interpolation stuff here. So I'm just going to say public static void employee. And we're going to pass the employee here. And all this is going to do is write out the employee's information. You're going to get this error because it doesn't know what an employee is. You're going to say, well, this is what an employee is. And they're going to say, okay, we know what it is now. All right. I'm going to do a new line. And we'll make this green. If you're lost, all we're doing is making a little helper method here that's going to display the details of the employee that we're going to get over here. Okay? We're going to pass that employee to this method. It's going to go over here. It's going to display its details. We'll make it pretty. We'll say employee detail. Oh, I hate this laptop. There's no end button on it, so I have to click to the end. We're going to draw this high tech, look at that, line, and we're going to, so if you're not familiar with string interpolation, it's pretty awesome. You can mix like your text with your actual variables that you want to concatenate with. So there's no more of this like, you know, first name plus last name, you know, none of that stuff. It just doesn't, you don't have to do that anymore. So what you do for that is you just put in, oh, that's cool. I've got a thumb for a cursor now. All right, it went away magically. You're just going to put a money sign in front of it, and then the first thing we'll display is like the employee ID. And then all you're going to do is put in a left bracket and a right bracket, and any variable you want can go right here, which is awesome. So we're just going to get the employee that we passed in, we're just going to get his ID dot ID. We'll also get the name. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll get the name. So we'll just say, we'll do the employee first name space employee dot last name. So this to me is so much more cleaner, because otherwise you would have to do something like, you know, console right line name, and you have to do plus employee first name plus, oh, gotta put a space there, plus employee dot last name. So it's totally your preference, but this is the old school way. And when you're doing huge log files, you're logging a lot of details, it just gets messy, really messy. So that's why I prefer the new way, the string interpolation. Just put this money sign in and put your variables in brackets, and look, it's just way more intuitive to me. If you don't think it is, then you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. So then I'm going to just put in the last two things that we care about. Employee, job title, salary. Here's another cool thing. I want to put a money sign in front of that salary. Look at that. It's just easier to do stuff like that. No, this is just like a money sign. This is like a text. This is a character. This is not necessarily a character. This is saying I want to do string interpolation. I want to have brackets for my variables. Now I'm just going to reset the color. So now I can go back here and say, you know what? After we get the record, I want to show the details, and I want to keep my display logic out of my SQL logic because it just doesn't belong. So I'm just going to say, okay, go to my display logic class, and it doesn't know what it is. You got to get resharper for this. It'll fix all this. You say, okay, this is what my display class is. Okay, it knows now. I'm going to say display employee details, and I'm just going to pass in the employee. I'm displaying the employee. All right. So it's going to get the record, and it's going to display it on the screen for us to see. And the very last thing that we're going to do is delete. So we got your add, we got your edit, we got your read or view, and now we got your delete. And we're going to get the record again. So I'm going to say var, and then I'm just going to copy this because we're just getting that record. We want to delete Sleepy Joe Biden. And what you're going to do to delete a record once you get it is you just say dvcontext.remove. That removes the employee. You want to save that delete operation you just did. That'll ensure that that's happened. And then what I like to do, you don't have to do this, I mean, it's just kind of good practice, is to see if it really got deleted. So I'll do, okay, we'll call this Sleepy Joe exist, and we'll just go out there and see if a record exists with the first name Sleepy Joe. And this is how you do this. You can say single, oops, I'm sorry. You can say CV context dot any. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really messing up. Okay. DB context dot employee. You want to pick the table first. I want to say, are there any employees with these parameters? And the parameters are the same ones we've been using. Sleepy Joe. And this any, all it does is return a true or a false if any records exist with the first name Sleepy Joe. And they shouldn't, because we just deleted them right here. We just deleted that record. I just want to make sure that it doesn't exist. And if he doesn't exist, if Sleepy Joe, sorry, if Sleepy Joe doesn't exist, then I'm going to display success. Oh, I don't have a success display. I'm just going to display success, and if he does exist, something went wrong, he didn't get deleted. So I'm just going to display a failure, and I'm going to say here, failed to delete Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Ho, wow. What does it say? Failed to delete. Because obviously we'll have that record. We'll say okay, and we'll make a little success just so we can kind of see what's going on here when we're testing this out. We'll make a success message here. We'll do the same thing. It'll be an optional parameter. I'm probably going way too fast. People are probably going to be like, this is way too fast. I can't follow you. You suck. And then we're just going to make this dot, make it green. That means something good. And then we're just going to copy this same logic here. Copy it. I'm going to actually, we're going to grab all this down to the console reset color, paste it, success. Just change failed to success. That's it. So take a look at this. I just realized I'm probably going way too fast, but oh well, you'll complain about it or get over it. So now I'm going to go back here, and we're just going to display. We don't want to put any specific message in. We're just going to display a success that Joe is deleted. I mean, it's just going to say success. Okay. So now I'm going to remove these stupid things. What do you not like? Oh, make sure you put your semicolon. So that's it. So we have our delete, we have our view, we have our edit, we have our add. Now I'm going to go to my program CS. I'm going to close all these. I'm going to save the changes. So now all we have left to do is just throw in our logic. So if it's case 1, remember that they're going to add a record. So we're just going to say employee. Now repository. Notice it doesn't know what it is. It's okay. This will drop down. You're going to say using your repositories folder, so it knows where to get that class. You're going to add, and that's going to add Sleepy Joe. And then we'll just display of success, just so we know what's going on. We'll say Sleepy Joe Biden. I can never spell successfully. All right, and then for case 2, we're just going to edit him. And we'll just copy this. Was edited. And then case, because it'll throw an exception if it didn't work. And then case 3 was, what was case 3? Viewing? Yeah. We'll say view, and we don't need to put a display here because if it doesn't display anything, we'll know it failed. And then here we're going to delete. And we already have a display message in there, so it doesn't really matter. It's probably breaking some kind of standard. Oh well, who cares? All right. So now we're going to run the program. It may not work. I'm sure I mess up something. All right, please select an option. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add an employee. Sleepy Joe Biden was successfully added. Now I can do another option. So I want to make sure he was added. I'm just going to open my database, do a new query, and I'm going to employee. It's not showing up because you have to close out SQL Server Management Studio for some reason for it to refresh. It's just really ridiculous. So now let me open up this thing. It's going to take probably 60 seconds. That's me. And I'm going to just click my demo database, do a new query. And we're going to do a select all from. Okay. Don't know why IntelliSense isn't working. And there he is right there. Sleepy Joe Biden, Vice President, 200K, and he's active. So now I'm going to go back to my program and say, okay, I want to edit him. And when we edited him, remember that it said that he was now the CEO of Microsoft and he got an increase in pay of $300,000. So 200, he's still the Vice President. Now we're going to edit him. No. Oh, he's successfully edited. So now I'm going to go here, just double check, and you can see it changed. CEO of Microsoft, salary is 500K, active. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this. Note that the employee ID is automatically generated. A unique ID is automatically generated every time we insert a record. So that we didn't put in ID, that was automatically created for us. So now I just want to view the employee. So I'm going to view it, and here's the details. Sleepy Joe Biden, job title, salary. You can add stuff to that, whatever. Now I'm going to delete the employee, and he should be gone. And he is. That's all there really is to it. I won't bore you anymore. I will show you one thing here. If you add an employee, again, so Sleepy Joe is added. Okay. And then let's say you add another employee. So you add Sleepy Joe again. All right. Well, now you got 2 Sleepy Joes. Interesting. Oh no, what's going to happen? So now when you go to edit him, it's going to blow up. And it's going to tell you right here, the sequence contains more than one element. So all of these queries where it says, get the record, the single record that says Sleepy Joe, you would think it would just get the first record that meets that criteria. It doesn't. If it has multiple records that meet the criteria, it throws an exception. So you'll get this exception. So you'll have to put in some logic to account for that. And something you can actually do is say, I think it's first. Let's see here. First. So this returns the first element of that it finds. So I don't know, like realistically, when you would use this. I mean, I'm sure there's a time you would use it. I'm actually sure there is now that I think of it. So in this case, what you can do is you could say, okay, just give me the first record you find that has Sleepy Joe and change that. Or you could also say get all of the records. You know, you could do a get all. Actually, I'm sorry. You could just do a list at the end of this, and it'll get all of them. But what do you not like here first? Now when we run it, it should work. So now when I say, okay, well I want to edit, just the first Sleepy Joe I find, here they are. Now when I go here to here, notice they're the same, but I didn't get an error, my program didn't blow up, and it only edited the first Joe that it found. So that's something to just keep in mind. But yeah, that's it.